Hey, what's going on, Destiny Knights? Name is Easy the Gamer. Welcome back to another T6. So today, let's go ahead and start the video off with getting a whole bunch of legendary scrolls. All right, Destiny Dice. If you just farm for a whole bunch, you're gonna get a whole bunch of these things. So look at that. I'm at 14,000. Oh, actually, I thought that was not. Look at that. We get 2 skilled Ragoons as well. That's not too bad. Yeah. So what I normally do nowadays, since I don't play a game as much as I should be, since I'm playing both games, Knights Chronicle and this one, it's kind of difficult to kind of balance the two. So yeah. So we'll go ahead and do these. Okay. So what I wanted to do today, and hopefully we'll get in depth with orbs later on. Today I actually want to talk about buffs and debuffs, which is probably what the video is called. So yeah, so how many do I have left? I get these two as well, because why not? I mean, technically I don't even need them. I should probably fully awaken some of these things I haven't done it because I don't know, lazy, I guess. Whatever. Look at that. We got a scroll too. Why not? Let's go full on summoning session today. Yeah. I haven't summoned in a while. Well, like for something I actually wanted. The last thing I actually got that I wanted was Cesar, which is really good. So he's really good. So either way. So yeah. And then this is why it's important to do your stars. Your what the heck? What's going on? There we go. It wasn't registering for some reason. Rewards right here. If you go right here on the bottom right corner, it shows you a whole bunch of stars. Those are basically the ones you've actually completed. So you get these rewards. You obviously get the 20 stars, which is to begin with, and those help out like the beginners to get those. Actually, when this started, initially we didn't have enhanced Ragoon dungeons, so it was actually more difficult to get these. You actually had to farm like the way higher up levels to actually get these, and now we can actually just farm them. Obviously you only get like what, 5 tries, but still you do get them. So back in the day these were actually more valuable than they are now, and these were as well. But these, like, once you level up, oh my gosh, look at that 2-star. I think they need to level up or bump up the actual prizes for these. The end game prizes are actually pretty good. You see you get 2 legendary scrolls right here, and two legendary pieces as well. So that's always good. But anyways, today we're gonna talk about buffs and debuffs. What do they do? Where can they be good for, and where can they not be good for? So let's talk about buffs. I feel like the best buff out there for beginner players is something for damage reduction. Okay, so let's take a look at Paper Friend, which is really good if you get her early game. I have not used her as much as I should be, mostly because she's not as fast of a speed for a speed team now, but she's really excellent in place of that. So what makes her so good is this second skill. They both of her skills are really good. She's basically like the paper version of Rock June, where he does a big nuke. She does big ignore defense nuke as well, and she's defense based as well. The only difference is that she buffs here. She gives a damage increase and a damage decrease taken for yourself, for a whole team. So right here it says increases damage dealt by 45%, decreases damage taken by allies for 50% for 15 seconds. So let's go ahead and show y'all what I mean by really safe. So let's say you're barely starting or something like that, and your teams are not as reliable, right? So what you want to do actually is look for teams leader skills that synergize well with the buffs. So of course, let's see, where is she at? Here she is. Okay, so this used to be my team right here. 2 big nukes, damage buff, and actually it wasn't even this girl right here. Eve wasn't even in it. It was actually this guy right here. It used to be this guy because she used to be 20%, but I felt like his strike skill wasn't really helping, so I built her instead. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'll show y'all right here how much damage I take. I know some of y'all newer players don't know this, but it's possible for you to just take 1 damage. So let's take a look at this. Let's do the buff here. Yeah, And then let's take a look right there. Look, I'm only taking 1 damage. There's no way in heck I'm going to take any more damage than that unless he does his nuke skill. Reason being is because he actually does damage to himself. Sacrifices HP equal to 10% of the total team HP to deal damage of equal to 14, 22, and 30% of the current enemy's current HP. So that's the only way I'll be taking a lot more damage than anything. See, she already has her buff up again. Unfortunately, the AIs here are not very smart, but in order, a way they fixed it was buffing the conquer effect, so it is much easier to actually farm these stages, unlike back in the day. Back in the day, actually, it was much harder just because of the fact that they, what's it called? Just because of the fact that they even with all these buffs and debuffs, none of these buffs, even the attack break debuff, it still wouldn't be much compared to what it should have been. I just realized I should have gone the triple speed because we're doing a video. Yeah, you didn't think about that, huh? Yeah, so it's like the AI's like I complained about it before, because before actually I kept losing because of the fact that Sister Elk right here kept derping a lot, and it would take she wouldn't use any of her skills for a good like 10-15 seconds. But luckily that that conquer effect did get buffed. So anyways, as you saw right there, it was very reliable, it's very good. That's what you want to do when it comes to teams. When you're doing your first teams. I'm probably gonna do a video as well on team evolution, just to show y'all how my teams have progressed. So let's go ahead and put this guy back. Wait, what was I looking for? Rock Benito. Yeah, here you are. Okay, just so I won't forget to put him back. Okay, second buff. The second buff, it's more. These are more of a endgame type of thing, mostly because you have to really put like skill cooldown and buff duration. This is where you focus on your substats when it comes to orbs. Let's go ahead and we're gonna go to buffs and debuffs, by the way. So let's go ahead and look at this guy. This guy. I don't know why I keep repeating my words 3 times. His shield is so insane. So no debuffs, no like if you see, let's say I'm gonna use Nezzy. There's actually a few people out there that have a 12-second shield with this guy, and then it has like especially with let's say a skill cooldown reduction hero or a knight in your team, he will practically always have this up. So having your team more reliable will, and actually I use him in the faction boss, which is people don't use him as much, but I use him as a cushion, because he does do a lot of damage at some point. There's stages within the game when it comes to actually progressing in the game. So the first part of the game is obviously trying to find the team that will help you complete that stage, and then you find a team that will like help you consistently complete the stage, which would be like this guy. I mean, depending on how your team, how you like your team, I think Nezzy uses Adonis, Rock June, and what's his name, and Rock Benito. But because I don't have that much skill cooldown on mine, it doesn't work for me, so I'm not using him as much. But this guy, when it comes down to oh yeah, and then from that stage you move on to the speed clear teams, being a bit more YOLO, a bit more basically like risking it a little bit, but not too much to a point where you're basically not doing your successful rate is like 50%. It shouldn't be like that. So this guy is really excellent when it comes to shield. Keep in mind there are different types of shields. Okay, so that's one shield, the what is it, invulnerable shield. And then there's this girl right here. Yes, I don't have the best orbs or whatever on her, but I use her for this shield right here. It's a strike skill as well. I use her as a strike. She will heal, give crit rate buff, and give a shield, not the same shield. It looks like the same logo, but not the same shield. It actually gives you're invulnerable to debuffs. So basically, you're not going to take any debuffs, but you're still taking damage. So that's why Adonis' shield is so overpowered, because his doesn't take debuffs and doesn't take damage, which is why some people were trying to call for a nerf, trying to say, you know, oh well, maybe he should take debuffs and not take damage, sort of the opposite, which makes sense to me. She would be more she would be better to use in some places. So yeah, so crit rate buff. Obviously, you want to use her to synergize with things that need crit rate. For example, actually, I wanted to build this Griffin. In case you do not have Scissor Gunter, if you do not know what Scissor Gunter does, is he basically gives a passive attack buff. It isn't an actual buff on your team, but he continuously gives attack buff increases the attack power by 8% each time a critical hit lands on a target. So let's say faction boss, correct? In faction boss, you there's only one target. You have 5 minutes, so you continuously attack that boss, and with that crit rate buff, you will be able to land a crit plus and adding to giving yourself more attack power, and plus a cooldown as well. So that's always that's good. That's one of the ones. And this is actually the budget Scissor Gunter, the Scissors Griffin. Okay, some people actually may argue that this guy is actually better than Scissor Gunter. So he gives a crit rate buff and cooldown reduce, decreases cooldown allies by 6 seconds, excluding the caster, increases crit rate with 15%. Obviously, it goes up after a while. Buff remove bleed. That unless you're gonna use this guy for conquest, which is okay, it's not too bad. It bleeds for 6 seconds, and I believe it goes up. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so 22% for crit rate for 15 seconds and 8 seconds cooldown per thing, and I think it actually stacks, I believe. Does it stack? Let's go ahead and check. I keep going. I'm okay, no, so it doesn't stack. So you get crit rate, and okay, so but yeah, and let's go ahead and check this one out. Let's see. Okay, 9 seconds. That's actually not too bad. If you do not have a bleeder, you don't have Natalia, you don't have I think it's a Scissors Moshia. If you don't have them, then you can build this guy. He's not completely farmable, but he's not an at 5. He isn't unreachable. You know, for me, actually, Rock Benito was one of the ones that was unreachable for me to get, and I had to buy him from the shop. And recently, I actually did get one. I actually did summon one, so I might build him as well. Maybe. Wait, did I get a second one? I thought I loved him. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Yeah, no, I have so many nat 5s that I should. I don't know. I feel bad for beating them. Also, this girl, she gives a shield as well. It's this one. So a status shield creates a shield that ignores debuffs as well. So just like what's it called? Rock Arcana. She does give a shield that doesn't allow debuffs to hit you as well. Now there's a third shield. This one's called the Meat Shield. What is the Meat Shield? It's in the name. It's the Meat Shield. Where's this guy at? Takis. This guy, HP Shield, basically creates a shield with durability with 60% of the max team HP for 12 seconds. This actually, and I really wanted to skill him up for this reason. This, can you register? Thank you. This goes up to 100%. So I wish you can set a defense for Arena, because this guy would be really good for trying to stall, trying to whatever. And on top of that, he has a launch, and so it'd be really good. I would really love to use him for that reason. So HP shield, you do get debuffs and you do take damage once they remove that shield. So if they have a stripper, then you're practically screwed. So maybe a little bit of resistance on him would be really good. But yeah, so he has one of the shields. What else is good? I think we're just gonna do buffs for this one actually. Debuffs we're gonna probably do in the next video, because there's actually a whole bunch of buffs that you really want to focus on. I just realized. So this girl's buff is about one of the most important buffs in the game. Her and Chrono, which I've built as well, which is a actual a budget. There's a lot of these Nat 5s have sort of a Nat 4 parts. So if you want to, if you don't have a certain unit yet, you can maybe make them to 5-star and then try to. Of course, the attackers, there aren't many attackers that will do as much damage like Rock June or Paper Fran, but the ones that gives buffs do. So I don't know why I built this guy actually. I was just on the hype of it. I was like, sure, I'll do it as well. So this guy right here, if my thing would stop lagging, gives cooldown acceleration. It is not a cooldown reduction, just like we just saw with the Griffin and we saw with Scissors Gunter. This guy actually gives cooldown acceleration and damage taken, so you won't take as much damage. Unfortunately, it's not his strike skill, so his strike skill is actually time pause and cool down, which we will do debuffs on the next video. Unfortunately, I actually thought that we were gonna do buffs, but debuffs, but there's too many buffs. So yeah, so what's so good about her? Once you give her enough skill cooldown, enough buff, enough, what is it called? What is it? I can't even think about it. Buff duration. If you give her enough buff duration, which I probably don't have enough of, I only have 13%. I really try to focus up on the skill cooldown, which is, I think she's the highest one that I have on at the moment. So she's alright. Mine is alright. But so that's exactly what you want to focus on when it comes to these two anyways, because you have enough skill cooldown reduction and the buff acceleration should practically be rotating that so much. So guess what? Paper Adonis will always have his shield up. All your units will have their skills up, just because of the fact that she's skilled up, she's well orbed. You won't need skilled Ragoons as much if you have her on your team. So having that said, she's one of the buffs that you really want to use. Where you want to use her, I feel like you can use her practically all throughout the game. I'd even talk about where you want to use these, huh? Actually, I feel like the only ones that are kind of limited, Adonis Shield you can use anywhere. What's it called? Scissor Card Lady you can use everywhere as well. This one, although it is not as much, you don't really use it. You don't use it everywhere, just like the others, mostly because of the fact that she's mostly used for her shield, and her shield does not actually, like, you don't. It doesn't. It only provides that that you don't take debuffs, so you will still take damage and all that. That's why I use her in a striker. So I use her in a striker on Jin, I believe, just so I won't get stunned by the boss. And plus, here when she uses it here, it's a shield that lasts for 15 seconds. So, and crit rate by 60%. So, okay, so let's move on to the next one. Actually, let's go on this one. Okay, so status activation. Okay, what is status activation? Status activation is basically if your hero or knight lands any type of debuff, stun, that's basically it. Debuffs, stuns, and anything that will be harmful for the basically anything that will be harmful to your opponents, that will require status activation, so you can actually activate it, activate that debuff, and then be able to land the debuffs you want to. So the team I use with her, actually, and you saw it in the last video, I use her in Conquest. Some people use different teams. I like using her just because of the fact that not many people use her, just because of her sister. If you do not know, or if you're just starting in this game actually, you can't use two of the same heroes, knights in the same. I keep saying hero because I'm used to it. Heroes in the same team. It doesn't matter if it's not the same hero. Like this is a paper one, the other one's a scissor one. They're still the same one, so you can't use them in the same team. So unfortunately, the other one gets used a lot more because she's a lot more overpowered. But this one gets overlooked. She's now at 96%. Before the servers merged, she was actually just she was kind of just like she's not much. But when I looked at her, I was like, wow, she does a lot, you know. So status activation really does help with. And she's not the only one that does that. Actually, I use this girl right here in arena for that reason, so I can have Scissor Elk do her debuffs, land them as much as possible, because once you don't land a debuff and you're relying on it, you will fail in that arena match. So that's why you want to have as much status activation and as much and status activation chance. What's it called? The buff, anyways. So she gives damage. She increases damage and gives the status activation buff, which is really good. Like I said, in arena you want to use her, especially if you're relying on. You're relying on debuffs, and she gives that damage buff, which is really good. So yeah, I feel like the bottom tier are, let's say, Rockadonis. He's not bad. I'm not saying he's bad, but this is more the bottom tier's defense buff. Defense buff and status resist, I feel like, would be better if the AIs in the arena were a bit smarter. So let's say this guy, you come into a match, this guy, instead of using paper Adonis, you use this guy, and you have status resist, you don't land the debuffs, and then you get screwed over. That's a good counter. And a defense buff, so you won't be taking as much damage. So it's like, to me, it looks good on paper, but because you don't use it as much, he could be used good. I guess you can use him in a good way for farming, but like I said, if you have paper friend, if you have something that does damage reduction, I'd rather recommend that instead. Okay, so this guy actually, I think this guy actually does give the attack buff. So yeah, and attack speed for 10 seconds. So attack speed and attack buff, they sort of land in the same area because they just speed you up, obviously. So it speeds up your runs and whatnot. So I feel like, let's say Rock Benito speeds up, he gives you a speed buff as well. So people with special attacks, it would really help us with that speed buff. But I feel like that was everything, I believe. No other buffs, right? Besides the heal over time, I believe. Because there's obviously the heal over time gives you heal over time, just like this girl, which is why she's so crazy good. She debuff remove and HP recovery. So I mean, I feel like HP recovery is self-explanatory, so I don't need to explain that one. There's a few really good healers, like I just showed you Eve. She does. She gives. No, she doesn't give the actual buff. She actually just heals, right? Yeah, she doesn't give the actual buff. So, I believe that is it. Right. And she gives another HP shield. Yona actually used to be a really good healer back in the day before Elk came out. She actually gives a heal over time and a defense buff, and she was, like I said, she was an excellent healer. If you have her, do not overlook her. She's a really good healer. I feel like she would be excellent for you to use. Let's see this guy. I know he has a defense buff as well. He's an okay. He was kind of hyped for a little bit. I don't know for what reason. He does give. Oh, I almost forgot that one. Wow, the reflective shield. So he gives he makes a shield that reflects debuffs. So for example, if they try to bleed you or whatever, they try to let's say silence you, he reflects it and you're done. So you're silenced as well, so you can't do anything about that. Another shield that there is June, Paper June, that is actually overlooked as well. I don't have him built as well. Is a no, it isn't this one. Where are you at? I know it's somewhere here. Sierra. I think it's this one. Damage absorbing shield. Yeah, here it is. Creates a shield that reflects damage that allies would take for 12 seconds. That is one of the good ones. For example, like if you're in arena, Rogjin is about to do his big nuke, reflects it. It's like he kills himself practically. So yeah, so I feel like those are the buffs that I really wanted to cover when it comes to farming, when it comes to arena, when it comes to faction boss. Of course, faction boss is more of an end game, so if you want to get into that, maybe get into that a little bit later. Let's go ahead and just finish these summons. I should have done this a long time ago. So let's go ahead and do the superior. I don't expect anything from the superiors, actually. I don't usually get anything from these, but what do I want? What do I want? I would like a Scissors Mosque. I haven't gotten a Scissors Mosque. Any of the new ones. Dina, I think her name is. Oh, not for dang it. Okay, Isaac. He's actually not that bad if you want to build him. I think he actually. Oh no. I'm talking about the other Isaac. The other Isaac is better than him. All right, 3. I should have saved these, huh? Fei Yan. I feel like I tried to build her and she has to ignore defense, and I was just like, I don't know. I think there's a better units out there for that. And finally, we get a Nat 4. Dang it. Horrible RNG, even here. Okay, so either way, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Next video will be on debuffs, so go ahead and look forward to that. I'm going to, I guess, 27 minutes on just buffs. Great. Okay, so again, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Any comments, concerns, you let me know in the comments. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. But anyways, like I said, thank you very much for watching. Leave a like. Any comment will help motivate me to continue making videos. So anything you'll have questions over, just let me know, and I'll see y'all in the next one. All right, peace.